Derek Carr has been talking a lot lately. Now, I guess it's just a bunch of interviews he's been doing. This is the dead spot where there aren't press conferences. And I'm not on the Derek Carr beat at PFT. Others have been writing these stories. But, if you talk enough, you're eventually going to contradict yourself. It wasn't that long ago that he said he felt apologetic to the Raiders for not giving them his best last year. It's hard to reconcile that with Carr, in our more recent post, being upset with the Raiders because he got benched and they made his wife cry. Well, if his wife was upset by Derek Carr being benched, but Derek Carr is remorseful to the Raiders for not giving them his best, there's a chain of common sense logic in there that I think is lost on the Carr family. And I've always felt that Derek doesn't understand the business. He might now. But I remember when, and this may have been what caused him to block me on Twitter. I don't know. It seems like he blocks anyone for any reason. But he made a comment one time about he will be the starting quarterback of the Raiders for as long as he chooses to play football. And I remember when I saw that, and I thought, Derek, you don't understand how this business works. We were just talking about it with Travis Kelce. The moment that a player is no longer living up to what his compensation package would suggest, that's when the team rips it up and moves on. Remember when he got that big contract from the Raiders last year and all the information robots were fawning over what a great deal it was, $40 million a year, this, that, and the other thing. And I got the contract and I said, whoa, hang on, everybody, time out. Your battery may be turned upside down, information robot, because this contract looks like a one-year deal for about 25, 26, 27 million. And the Raiders can tear it up after 1 year if they choose to do so. Oh, they'll never do that. Oh, you're just trying to make something out of nothing. Oh, you're just looking to make clicks. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. That's how it goes. And then when you're ultimately right, they forget that you were right. They just move on to the next thing that they want to tell you you are ultimately going to be wrong about, like the possibility of the 49ers and the Rams and a tug of war next year for Kirk Cousins. But I saw it. I saw it coming. Carr had to play well enough last year to get the Raiders to choose to keep him with a new coach and a new GM in place. They chose not to keep him. And off he goes. And so, look, I understand there's a lot of personal feelings that get tied up in this. And I understand that his wife, who maybe believed that he was going to be the starting quarterback for the Raiders as long as he chose to be, because he's been saying it for years, maybe he had never bothered to explain to her how the business works because he didn't understand it himself. But this is how the business works. This is why I say get what you can while you can, because you may not be able to get anything before too long. Now he lands in New Orleans and he said some things about being happy to be with a more stable organization, firing some shots at the Raiders. I mean, it's not, well, I mean, look, the Saints right now are middle of the pack, maybe just a little bit above. They're still finding their way post Sean Payton. I wouldn't say they're among the 10 best franchises in the NFL right now. They're in a better spot to compete than the Raiders because they're in the NFC South. The Raiders are in the AFC West, tougher conference, tougher division. But I don't know that the Raiders right now are dramatically worse than the Saints. But look, Carr is processing in real time. This is why I love the human drama of the NFL. He's dealing with it in front of our very eyes and ears. This idea of being rejected by a team, being taken in by a new team, trying to understand how it all happened, whose fault it is, who to be upset with, who to not be upset with. And at the end of the day, this is just how it works. This is the way the business works. They love you and they will pay you handsomely as long as you are doing the job at the appropriate level. The minute you're not, they're going to find somebody else. They don't care who it is. They don't care what the person has done. And it's not what have you done for me lately. It's what are you doing for me right now? And what can I expect you to do for me tomorrow? That is the test. And under that standard, the Raiders decided late in the 2022 season, get this guy off the field before he suffers an injury that will keep him from passing a physical, before his salary for next year becomes fully guaranteed. Get him off the field, put him in bubble wrap, because we're going to cut him if we can't trade him. And they were never going to be able to trade him. That was never going to happen. He was always going to be cut the moment that he was benched by the Raiders, because, and look, they wouldn't have benched him. They would have let him finish the year, I firmly believe, if he didn't have that guarantee for injury that would have become fully guaranteed. If he had no guarantees and it was a full flipping of the switch right after the Super Bowl for $40 million to kick in, they would have let him finish the year. But that injury guarantee is the reason they benched him. They would have just finished the year and we wouldn't have known anything about it. They wouldn't have let on that they had any misgivings about Derek Carr. It would have made it easier to try to trade him. If we had no idea that they were thinking about cutting him, you have a better chance of finding a trade partner. But the teams out there that were approached about a possible trade for Derek Carr, they knew he's eventually going to be cut. So to perpetuate the ruse of we still want this guy, if they wouldn't have had that injury guarantee that they were concerned about becoming a full guarantee, if he suffered an injury that he wouldn't have recovered from before the time came to cut him, they would have left him on the field. See, that's just part of understanding the business. It's nothing personal, it's business. And it's always business. No matter how personal it may be to the individual players, it's always business. And that's why for the players, the business interest and objective should be get what you can while you can. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.